Hi there. My name is Samsarah Morgan, and I am the director and primary instructor for the birth professionals of the Bay Area doula training program called the Professional Doula. I am myself a birth and postpartum caregiver, doula. I am a hypnotherapist, counselor, family life coach, hypnotherapist, and most recently a Dr. Sears certified health coach. I'm here to talk to you today about green birthing. And this title comes from a talk that I was going to give a few months ago at an event, and that event got canceled. So I thought it would be wonderful to kind of put it down and send it out so moms can see it and have it as one of the tools in their toolbox to consider as they're planning their pregnancies, or if you're already a pregnant mama, to have it at your disposal as you move forward making plans for your blessed event. So let's start out by talking about what is green birthing. Green birthing is empowered, informed, and unique. It is empowered because the process of itself allows for the woman to go through feeling like she knows what's going on, feeling like she has made some choices, and feeling like those choices can be respected. In a natural birth, the process of giving birth to a baby is in and of itself biologically empowering. And what I mean by that is, if we go through the process of birthing without any kind of medical intervention or blocking of our central nervous system, science now supports what midwives have always known, which is that the hormones and chemicals released as part of the normal conscious birthing process increase the woman's sense of self-esteem, increase her sense of well-being, her sense of this, wow, I did that, and what else can I do? There's a flood of beautiful hormones and chemicals that take place as you push your baby out. And when you're free and you're able to really get a dose of those beautiful hormones, there are sensors that are parts of the brain that are activated that are not activated any other way. And not activated to the degree that they can be activated if the mom's central nervous system is not blocked and those hormones can flow freely. Not to mention that beautiful oxytocin, the love hormone, which just cascades through the mama after she gives birth, so that first eye-to-eye contact between her and her baby is this gorgeous love affair that nobody can ever top. There goes my son. So we want to have this process proceed in as uninterrupted a fashion as possible, so that sense of empowerment, in the doing of it, in the doing of being in the labor, if you go through each one of the stages and realize, oh, that wasn't so bad, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, right up until you push your baby out and have that feeling of, wow, there is nothing on this earth that I can't do. A green birth is also an informed experience, meaning that the mom is going through this experience and feels that she has all the information available to do this well. There's always a little bit of fear and anxiety involved in having a baby, especially your first baby. And especially in this culture where we're not raised up around birth. We don't get to see it that often. We don't get to participate in it at all. We have visions on television and movies of birth being an incredibly dramatic, frantic, scary thing. And as a result, many women fear birth very much. So we want to have more helpful information in our heads and in the cells of our bodies when it's time for us to have our babies. Birth videos that are more authentic to what the birth experience can be. Older women, moms, aunties, and sisters who will share with us that it's not this horrendous, scary experience, that it actually can be sublime, it actually can be transcendent. even though you're working very hard and even though it might be painful, that it was worth going through that process and why it was worth going through that process. So having all that kind of information, having the biological information, the spiritual information, the information that would be positive and uplifting is part of having an informed birth experience. And also, a green birth is unique. It's unique because every woman walking the earth is unique. There are some basic standard things, your stages of labor, blah, 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 1, 2, 3, and every woman is going to do those things a little bit differently. One of the major problems that we have with the hospital experience of birth is that medicine teaches that birth should be this very rigid thing, and if there's any deviation too much one way or the other, then there's cause for great concern. That's not necessarily the most helpful tack to take. Definitely we want there, when you're talking to a home birth midwife, she will tell you there's certain parameters that absolutely we want to make sure that we see. But other than that, a woman is going to give birth to her baby based on her tribe, her history, up to this point as a human being on planet Earth, how her mother gave birth to her, might have some information as to how she might have her baby, but it's going to be a unique experience because that mama is a unique being and the child that she's birthing is also a unique being. I'm going to also add in here that part of the important part of trying to do green birth is to be in good physical health before you become pregnant. A natural birth is something that is possible for the vast majority of women. The caveat that I have in there is that we want the women to be in good physical health. Good women in good physical health who are well nourished, who are, emotionally in a place of readiness, spiritually in a place of readiness, do much better in having their babies. That's because their bodies are allowed to there are no blocks, there are no deficits, and so the body can do what it's designed to do. The human female's body, a healthy human female's body, is built to deliver babies. You actually have to try really hard not to make a pregnancy. And so, once a pregnancy is started, the engines are rolling and will go on beautifully if we give that engine the fuel that it needs to grow a beautiful, healthy human infant. So, before we even talk about the pregnancy part, we want to get together with sane caregivers, no food fads, no fear-based information, and just for our whole lives as young girls and women, we want to do our best to be eating naturally, organically. We want to avoid GMO foods. We want to have exercise as part of our daily life. We want to have meditation, prayer, centering practices that help us to feel grounded and centered on the earth, that help us make good decisions, all kinds of good decisions, where we'll live, who we'll be, when we'll have our babies, who we'll make those babies with. All of those things are important. We want to walk through life in a grounded, solid place so that those decisions become easier to make. And we generally can have more satisfaction in our lives, not just in being mamas, but in every aspect of our life, career, romance, all of it. So, working to have that kind of a high level going on in our lives brings so many beautiful, beautiful gifts to us, including having babies and having them successfully and having them in a place of empowerment. Where can you have a green birth? Well, my first and best recommendation for a green birth is to birth at home with a qualified midwife and doula. Home, and there's many wonderful studies on this, and you can do a Google search on home birth holistic and read all the information about various good studies that have been done to show how a birth at home can be as safe and sometimes safer than a hospital birth. But what women do really talk about and really feel good about is the fact that in a home birth situation, there are no drugs around. So you have a better opportunity of just really being present for the process. home birth midwives are very skilled at giving amazing support. More and more home birth midwives are working with doulas, and if they don't specifically work with doulas, they have an apprentice or assistant who does a doula sort of role to be there and supporting the mom through the process. Friends and family can be there as the mom wants. There's no limit on the number of people who can be there. There are no strangers walking into the room. The people who were there for a home birth are hand selected by that woman. And she selected them because she loves and trusts them. And that love and trust and that creating that seal of love and trust around the mom really, really helps things go very, very well. Secondly, after a home birth, I definitely speak very highly of a freestanding birth center, and especially a birth center that's run by midwives. Sometimes certified nurse midwives or home birth midwives run a childbirth practice and have a birthing center that the moms can come and give birth to their young ones in. The birthing centers have a home-like environment. Certainly all the equipment that you would need to help birth go smoothly is present and needed. A birthing center is usually located pretty close to where hospitals are, so if one needed to get to the hospital, you could get to them very quickly. Real emergencies in childbirth, is a very small percentage of births even experience such things. When you're working with midwives, as I said earlier, the midwife's job is to help the mom troubleshoot and make sure she stays in that healthy, low-risk category. If things stray too much out of that and you can begin to be a high-risk situation for that mom giving birth, generally the home birth midwife would have made the recommendation to go to a doctor long before the birth itself. And so, true obstetrical OBs are like 1% of births. But, if you're in a big city, hospitals are not far away. There are hospitals everywhere, and you can be gotten to the hospital very, very quickly. There's lots of reasons that moms might transport to the hospital that have nothing to do with a real emergency. I think one of the most primary reasons for that is that the birth has gone on for a long time and maybe the baby is not in the most optimal position. Mom is very tired and she might need an epidural. And the hospital is a place where the epidurals are. So the entire birthing team would transport there, and after that intervention, very often, and we're talking about a mom who's been in labor for a long time, 2-3 days, she's pretty tired, and she and her caregiver have discussed the situation and have decided that going to the hospital is the best thing for her. There are also, we have many hospitals, and the primary place that American babies are born are in hospitals. We want to pick hospitals that are really showing some support for a mom who wants to give birth naturally in an empowered way. We want to look for hospitals who have the baby-friendly designation or mother-friendly designation as part of kind of a screening process. There are two different organizations that look at hospitals and look at their practices and seeing if they're giving evidence-based care, seeing if they're giving care that will do what we talked about earlier, which is helping moms to feel empowered, not pushing medications, making space for moms to take as long as they need to take to birth their babies. The mom doesn't feel that she's on the gun. And there are other determiners as well. You can Google baby-friendly hospital or mother-friendly hospital and find out what the criteria are, and then check with your local hospital and see if they meet that criteria and if they will be able to support your choices in having a birth that's empowered and as natural as possible. Who's in your birth team? The birth team is an important circle, very, very important circle. These are the people who are going to be with you, the mama, not even at the point of birth, but even all along the journey. Who are the people who are going to help you to gather the tools you need and be with you when you have your baby and after you have your baby as well, because the job is not done when the baby's out. Actually, the job is just beginning, the beginnings of parenting. So who are those people who are going to be on your team? I would think first and foremost would be your partner. Hopefully you have a supportive partner who's there, who's looking forward to being a parent with you, looking forward to being a papa or a parent, and is down and supports the decision to birth naturally. The number one fear that I hear expressed by partners is concern for the welfare of their partner. They, don't want anything to happen to her. They've heard horrible stories, other people's birthing stories, and there's a great deal of trepidation. So again, a search for holistic information on childbirth would definitely help put partners' fears at rest. Also, a good talk with a loving midwife or doula would definitely give the information that's needed to help the partner feel fully vested in this decision to birth naturally, whether you're at home or in a hospital setting. The next person would be on the team would be your midwife or an obstetrician, gynecologist. Please take your time. Please interview quite a few people. Be clear within yourself that the kind of birth you want. And then interview a number of people to find out if they really feel, just listen with your heart and listen with your ears to see if that person is in any way equivocating to around anything that you find very important, anything that you really hold dear. Another person on your team would be a childbirth educator. As I said earlier, most of us in this culture don't have a lot of experience with birth, and so we want to start gathering that information when we're pregnant, and that's how we do it in this culture. It is a bit of a burden. When you're pregnant, you're hormonal, and you don't have the same access to your left brain as you have when you're not a pregnant person. And so that's actually kind of a hard time to be learning all this new information, holding on to it, and then having to use it to give birth to your baby. So this is one of those pieces that if you want to do some information, if you know parenting's in your future, don't feel afraid to pick up a childbirth education book or check out a movie or sit in a class if a teacher would be agreeable. There are private home birth educators, and then many hospitals also offer childbirth education to their clients. I think one of the challenges there, and with some hospitals and not all, is that the hospital childbirth education classes don't often give as much holistic information as a couple might need if they are trying to if they want to have a natural birth experience in the hospital. I find that private childbirth educators definitely feel more freedom, more license to give way more information to the family, and that's the way to go. You want someone who's going to give you information fearlessly, and not be concerned or afraid to give you information that might not be what the doctors in that particular hospital support. So you want to do your homework there. Of course, the challenge is that a private childbirth educator is going to cost some money. I recommend with all holistic caregivers to please don't hesitate to approach a private childbirth educator with your concerns. And very often, those childbirth educators will have room in their class for a low-income or a free class for families who need it. If you don't ask, you don't get. So please definitely give them a try. Midwives and doulas as well. Yes, a midwife's expensive. Yes, a doula can be expensive. But definitely, if you meet somebody and you feel in simpatico with her, express your concerns. I don't know a single doula, myself included, I don't know a single midwife who won't work out a payment plan with a client who really feels like they want to work with her, that she feels a bond with that client and the client feels a reciprocal bond. I know midwives who do certain things on barter if the midwife can afford it. Again, being empowered and doing what you need to do to make the birth you want happen is 9/10 of the work. If you don't ask, you don't get. So, we'll give you that power to do that. We're in my house, right near my front door. You've already seen somebody walk in, so you might see another person or two before we're done. So I hope that's not too interrupting for you. A doula is a professional pregnancy and birth coach. Some doulas have gone through trainings, some doulas are not. The bottom line, though, is you want to pick someone who has a great deal of experience in assisting women through the process of delivering their babies. Doulas who are trained by me will be meeting with their clients approximately 10 times before the before the labor starts. And the reason why we do that many visits is to kind of check in, make sure the client has received holistic childbirth education. Many clients have not. So we will make sure that that's on board for the family. And if even if the family has had childbirth education, we give a refresher. We also do lots of practicing of labor positions and comfort and breathing, just getting ready for that big day. We also help the family devise their birth plan, which is a list of what their vision, their deep vision of what they would like their birth to be, and their respectful requests of midwives and doctors to know what their requests are and to help facilitate that as much as medically sensible. Another person on your team could be a lactation educator. Very often doulas are very, 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 very qualified to assist you in the early issues around breastfeeding, and so you might not need a separate lactation educator. Your childbirth education class should include a breastfeeding component, I hope. Sometimes I do a separate class, childbirth education class, and then the breastfeeding class. I hope that you can get it all in one class because it's hard paying two separate fees, two separate classes. But definitely your doula will be there to help you in those first few weeks after you have your baby and right after the birth as well. Your midwife is definitely an expert on lactation. And so, you would have your doula to contact and call to come and help you. You would have a midwife to come and help you. Her apprentice would be available to come and help you with breastfeeding information. In the hospital, if you have a hospital birth with doctors, there's generally lactation support people available. If they don't show up to come visit you after your baby's born, ask for them. They're usually wonderful fonts of information and can help you get that breastfeeding started and in a good progressive way. There are beautiful organizations like La Leche League. Please Google them and find out where they are in your community. La Leche League is a volunteer-based organization of women who are totally devoted to helping mamas have beautiful breastfeeding experiences. Their volunteers are all breastfeeding mamas themselves. They've done it themselves. They've had the trials and tribulations and the joy and bliss of breastfeeding, and they're very willing and able to share that information with you. There is the most excellent book on breastfeeding. It's The Womanly Art of Breastfeeding, which I believe is the book that La Leche League supports the most, but I could be wrong about that. Please feel free to Google The Womanly Art of Breastfeeding. And keep it by your bedside. It's a great book to refer to, and it will help you to know that you're doing well or troubleshoot any issues that you might have. La Leche League also has a wonderful website that you can call up and troubleshoot problems, ask questions, that sort of thing. There's also a caregiver called the Postpartum Doula. And that is a person who will be coming to help work with you. It's a doula that's very skilled in assisting mamas during that critical adjustment period, the first 6 weeks after the baby is born, and sometimes even longer. A postpartum doula is a very helpful person for a mama to have on hand if she's given birth to multiples, twins or more. It's important to have another set of hands there, someone to help you with the breastfeeding of multiples. It has information and experience in helping mamas with that. Sometimes there are babies who are having medical issues. Maybe the baby's a preemie, there are other concerns. Postpartum doula can help when the family really needs to have help at night, when they're really like exhausted from being up all day with the baby and the sleep patterns haven't settled in yet. Someone trusted to be in the house with the baby to bring the bring the baby to mama to breastfeed at night. And there are other remarkable ways that a postpartum doula can help during a day or a nighttime. Just, giving that insight, giving inspiration, very light housekeeping around the house, helping with older children so mom can have time to take a shower, holding the baby so the mom can get a meal, fixing the meal for the mom. There are other important things that a postpartum doula can support with. Postpartum doulas generally are independent birth keepers, and so you would need to do research in your communities where you can find postpartum doulas available. There are many different websites that carry very different practitioners of all of these arts, from OBs to birth and postpartum doulas. So a simple search on Google will bring those up for you and specialize to where you live. Why have a green birth? Well, the main reason is that it is a healthier alternative. We live in a country where our infant mortality rate is really, really frighteningly high for an industrialized country such as ourselves. Evidence-based medicine, evidence-based science has shown repeatedly that having birth be as natural and uninterrupted as possible reduces greatly the risk of morbidity or mortality for infant and child. For that reason, first and foremost, I would support mamas getting this additional support they'd need to be able to birth in this fashion. Empowered, informed, educated, green birth. Giving birth naturally reduces the risk of postpartum depression for mamas. Again, if the natural phase of hormones are allowed to flow as they are designed to flow, there's less concern for the mama after the fact. Also, sometimes there is a response to the medications that moms are given, and that can result in a heightening of the fairly typical baby blues that most mamas experience once you have a very medicalized birth or C-section delivery. That cascade of hormones wasn't allowed to happen. Your body's detoxing from the medications that could have been very well needed. I mean, everything has its place, including medicine. So if you have to have a C-section because that's what was required for you to be healthy and for your baby to be healthy, no harm, no foul there. We are very grateful that medicine is here for us and is used appropriately. But to give it away, to have it just be a wholesale option for all women, no matter their circumstances, has clearly been the cause, one of the causes of lots of issues for our American mamas giving birth. And so we want to use medicine very selectively and for good outcomes. When we do that, we have less postpartum depression in mamas and babies. A green birth lowers the risk of C-section because you're working with the body's natural flow and you are allowing that process to proceed as it was designed to proceed. Baby is born. No need for section. Very often the medications themselves cause the problems that lead to the decision to create a section. Lowering the blood pressure of mom or baby. Having the mom on an epidural who's flat on her back, and so her baby can't get itself into the optimal positions needed for it to exit her body. Things like that will put you on the gravy train for getting a C-section, and we definitely want to avoid that. When you have a green birth, there's an increased sense of self-esteem after you give birth. We talked about that a little earlier. Once the mama does this process under her own steam, and she pushes her baby out and she has her baby in her arms, that intense sense of tiredness mixed with joy, mixed with excitement, mixed with just the feeling like, wow, I can move a mountain right now, is something that just will propel the woman forward. Not just to help her be an amazing mother, but it will help her be an amazing mother, but it just helps her plot the rest of her course for the rest of her life. If she's did that, if she's done this, and I've heard my clients say a million times, wow, if I did this, I can do anything. And that's just amazing. That's just what we want this process to give women. And that's the kind of mother a beautiful newborn deserves. An empowered mother, a happy mother, a strong mother. Whether she's got a partner, whether she's a single mom. She needs, and I think especially if she's a single mom, she really does need to feel like, wow, I have what I need inside of me to be able to meet my baby's needs and my needs and to live well upon this earth. So there's our talk about green birth. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any other questions for me, please feel free. There will be a little bit of information about me in the notes for this video, so please feel free to email me and ask me any questions that you'd like. My practice is based in Oakland, California, so if you're a Bay Area mama and you're looking for childbirth education or doula support, if you're looking for hypnotherapy services for birth, counseling for birth, please feel free to give me a call. My main website is www.niahealingcenter.org, NIAHEALINGCENTER.org. Information about doula services can be found on www.theprofessionaldoula.com. I wish you a blessed and wonderful day. I hope that this information that I've shared with you helps you to make the decision to go for a green birth. I wish you and your baby, your family, your community, and this world the best of everything.